The subject is Brahmacharya. The correct meaning of Brahmacharya is to remain attached to Brahma. Brahmani Vicharanam iti Brahmacharya. Whenever people do some work or think of doing any work extroversially, they look upon the object with which they come in contact as a crude, finite entity. Because of their constant aspiration for material achievement, their mind is so engrossed in material objects that their very consciousness becomes crude. The meaning of practicing Brahmacharya sadhana is to treat the object with which one comes in contact as different expressions of Brahma and not as crude forms. By means of such an ideation, even though the mind wanders from the object to another, it does not get detached from Brahma because of the cosmic feeling taken for each and every object. As a result of this Preya sadhana or extroversial approach is converted into Shreya sadhana, that is introversial approach, and come into Prema, that is a prayer means attraction towards crude material objects, while Shreya means attraction towards the ultimate reality. Kama means desire for finite objects, and Prema means desire for the infinite. Many misinterpret Brahmacharya to mean preservation of semen. It should be remembered that neither the word Brahma nor the word Charya has any relevance to the word semen. Moreover, even physiologically, such a preservation of semen is a bluff, either owing to the disease in certain glands or by the use of similar other process. Unless one becomes maimed, it is not possible to observe such Brahmacharya. It is certainly true that if the correct meaning of the word Brahmacharya is accepted, that is to feel the cosmic entity in every material object. Control in life becomes essential, but such control does not imply disobeying the laws of nature. Control means to abide by nature's laws. The prevention of the discharge of semen by some special measures or prevention of its surplus formation by fasting is ordinarily termed as so-called Brahmacharya. For those who are not married, this so-called Brahmacharya, which is really not Brahmacharya, has some meaning because it reduces the possibility of sexual excitement and thus prevents a discharge which may occur due to excitement while awake, asleep or dreaming. This is because when there is no formation of surplus semen, there is no physical desire to waste it. Further consideration will, however, show what this so-called Brahmacharya is worth. Are the prevention of formation of surplus semen and the loss of surplus semen not one and the same thing? All that can be said is that the first alternative is good for the unmarried and the second for the married. People who by different suppressive methods seek to prevent the discharge of semen create a bad reaction on their body and mind. Their bodies become rough and lack in luster. A suppression of the sexual desire results in other desires, especially anger taking a more terrible form. In the olden time, only the actual meaning of Brahmacharya was accepted. Later, when society was dominated by the intelligentsia, the so-called monks who had taken to complete exploitation thought that if ordinary citizens were allowed to pursue spiritual practices, they might lose the machinery of exploitation at any moment of which they were so fond. If common people are inspired by spiritual ideals, their rationality will grow and grow. The monks realized therefore that the people will have to be kept maimed and helpless. Fear and inferiority complex will have to be infused in people to exploit them. They found that such an exploited mass consisted of ordinary worldly people, most of whom were married. If therefore the loss of semen was anyhow declared as anti-religious, they would be able to gain their end without difficulty. And the result was promptly achieved. Ordinary worldly people began to think that they, by leading a married life, had committed a serious wrong, a heinous sin. They had indulged in activities against brahmacharya. The monks observed celibacy and were therefore far superior. The so-called recluses took advantage of the situation and have without difficulty been exploiting the society. Whether these recluses in fact are nastic brahmacharis, those who do not waste semen at all, cannot be decided by arguments. This can be decided by medical test. But it can be said without doubts that many of the so-called monks will not pass this test. Marriage is a natural function like bath, food, sleep, etc. Therefore, there is nothing to be condemned in it, nor does it go against dharma. When a great man or an elevated sadhaka is not prohibited from taking food, etc., there is no reason why he or she should be debarred from marriage. But proper control is no doubt greatly needed, not only over food and sleep, but in every walk of life. The lack of such control causes disease. Food is essential for life, but absence of control over eating causes indigestion. A bath is refreshing, but in absence of control over bath, that is, a long continued bath would make one catch cold. Similarly, marriage has its function, but the absence of restraint in marriage life would cause various diseases in body and mind. Marriage is slightly different from other natural functions in life, such as eating, sleeping, etc. Marriage is not so essential for life as are food and sleep. The need for marriage differs with individuals. That is why, in the opinion of Anand Marg, every individual has complete freedom in matters of marriage. For example, marriage of those persons who suffer from some physical or mental disease, or who are not financially well off, or whose present circumstances are not favorable for marriage, that is, where marriage can cause unhappiness, is not desirable. Those who are constantly engaged in therefore, those who want to kill their desires should better adopt some easy method of committing suicide instead of pursuing any difficult method of spiritual practice. I do not find any reason to support the so-called brahmacharya for those who are Shaiva, Shakta, Vaishnava, or who believe in Puranas, because their deities Shiva, Vishnu, Krishna and others were what is commonly known as worldly people. In Purana, the names of their wives and children are also mentioned. Dharma is based on Satya. Dharma sa na yatra na satyam asti. Where there is no Satya, there is no Dharma. This peculiar interpretation of brahmacharya may contain anything and everything save except Satya. Hence, there is no Dharma or Brahma in it. Humanity has to progress towards the ultimate reality by accepting what is truth, that is the path of sadhaka. That is the path of dharma. It may be privileged to parasitic, religious professionals to deny that is simple truth in practical life, but thereby the sanctity of dharma cannot be maintained. It is not the path of satya, it is nothing but hypocrisy.